Let's review some common problems and troubleshooting tips. There are many reasons a workflow could be behaving unexpectedly. Here are some troubleshooting basics. Try to replicate the problem, preferably in a comparable staging instance. View the workflow in the workflow editor. This allows you to see all the statuses and transitions into and out of each status. Similarly, check validators, post functions, and triggers to see what is configured. Check step and workflow properties, if any. And in Jira Service Desk, check automation rules and approval functionality, possibly adding test users into the approvers field. View the audit log for recent workflow changes. Permission-related problems are common in workflows. You may need to check the permission scheme and project roles. Here are some examples. If the user cannot see any transitions, check the transition issue's permission. In Jira Service Desk projects, make sure that the user has Service Desk application access. If the user cannot see one transition, check permissions or project roles in a condition. If the user cannot drag cards to a particular column on a board, then the transition condition is probably not being met in the underlying workflow. If no one can edit closed issues, check the step property Jira.issue.editable. If some users cannot comment in a particular status, check the step property Jira.permission.comment. Here are some possible misconfiguration problems. If the user cannot add or update a required field during a transition, the field may not be on the transition screen. If the user is not notified when a transition occurs, perhaps the wrong event is being fired, or the user is not listed as an event recipient in the project's notification scheme. If a saved filter or gadget is returning data errors, perhaps a workflow status was removed or renamed. And finally, a look at administrator problems. If resolved issues are showing as open, then the workflow might not be setting the resolution field. Conversely, if open issues are showing as resolved, then the workflow may not be clearing the resolution field. If, after editing a workflow, other projects and issue types were affected, then the workflow was probably shared and you may now need to undo the changes. If a board column shows no issues, perhaps the status was removed from the workflow, but the column was not. And if the workflow is returning strange errors in the logs, perhaps a marketplace workflow app is causing the issues.